Wade doesn't really miss. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the official WearTesters YouTube channel. My name is Jackson, and today we have a performance review on these bad boys right here. This is the Wade All City 12, and this is one of the most well-rounded basketball shoes currently on the market. We're gonna start it off with the traction, and the traction on the All City 12 is excellent, no matter the court or the court condition. So that outsole is a combination of herringbone. It's all within those little pods that spell out AC12. And you also have some just multi-directional lines that surround that pattern. Even though that pattern is a little bit flat, it does not attract very much dust. So even when I was on an exceptionally dusty court, I only had to wipe the outsole every so often. Similar to the other models from Way of Wade and also from other Chinese brands, the rubber used on the outsole is nice and durable. So these are gonna last a lot longer outdoors than pretty much anything from any of the major brands here in the US. As for the cushion, you've got full-length boom.
Did somebody say boom?
And that boom foam is almost entirely wrapped in a rubberized TPU, with the exception of the arch area on the medial side of the shoe. You also have a little bit of that solid rubber outsole that comes up and cages it in the toe area. That caging does contain that boom foam quite a bit, so it doesn't have a ton of room to flex, but there are a couple of cutouts here on the lateral side, one here in the toe area, and then one back here in the heel. And that does help that caging to have a little bit of flexibility to it, which in turn will help that boom foam compress just a little bit more than it would otherwise. When you look inside the shoe here, you have a little mesh strobel underneath that insole, and then right underneath that is the boom, and you can see it. You're sitting right on top of it when you're in the shoe. As for how it feels, obviously it's nice and stable because of all that caging. It does have a little bit of a responsive bounce to it, and it offers a good amount of impact protection, especially for how low to the ground you're sitting, because you are sitting within this cage here on the midsole. You're not sitting directly on top of it. I'd say it's enough impact protection for pretty much everybody, unless you're someone who wants that top tier, that GT jump tier of impact protection. And that combination of solid impact protection along with the extra durable outsole means that this is gonna be one of the top outdoor options that you can buy. Now, whether you wanna spend 150 bucks on an outdoor basketball shoe, that's a different conversation. But strictly speaking performance, this is one of the best that you can get for outdoor basketball. The outsole is incredibly average, but it is also completely removable, so you'll be able to remove it and put in your Move game days or whatever other insole you may prefer to use. As for the materials on the All City 12, it is pretty basic. You have some plastic and some textile that is woven with more plastic. I was initially a little bit skeptical of this big heat melt TPU toe rand that, you know, lays over the top of that flex point here on the toe. But luckily when you got it on court, it moves well with your foot and doesn't cause any weird little flex points. It's thin enough, it's malleable enough that you're not gonna notice it at all. The textile material is also very thin, and it's also extremely breathable. And because it seems to be woven with some TPU, it's really crispy. But because of that, it can also be durable along with being thin and breathable. In the back, you have an internal heel counter, and you have just some synthetic material over the top of it. And the materials as a whole, it's nothing to get excited about, but it does do the job. And I've played in them indoors, outdoors over the course of about a month. They're not falling apart. Everything is staying together really well, so I wouldn't be too concerned about durability. I also love the laces used here. They're kind of like rope style laces, but they're thicker in some spots and thinner in others, and they grip really, really well. So it kind of reminds me of like a Chinese finger trap. You lace them up, you're locked in, and those laces aren't gonna loosen up at all. It is a really unique feature that I hope to see on more basketball shoes from Wade and other brands, hopefully, in the future. So as for the fit, I went with my true US size, and that is what I would recommend pretty much to everybody, whether you go with your true size or if you have a wide foot and you go up a half size, I would certainly recommend that. Hey buddy. They do fit just a little bit long, but not long enough that I would recommend anyone to go down half a size, because they do fit a little bit snug, especially in that midfoot area. There was a little bit of pinching in that midfoot area just right off the bat. All I had to do was adjust my laces, loosen them up just a little bit, and that feeling went away, and I had no other issues with the fit. Heel lockdown was great. Midfoot lockdown was great, and even in the forefoot. And again, because you do sit within that midsole, that TPU cage over the midsole, that does help you on lateral movements to stay contained. If you're worried about that little solid rubber piece that extends up over the toe on the lateral side, if you're worried about it rubbing off on your pinky toe, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Maybe if you have wide feet, but again, if you go up a half size, that probably should fix the issue. I didn't have any issues with any chafing or rubbing, hot spots, anything like that within the shoe. Everything fit really well, and again, there was a tiny bit of extra space at the end of the toe, but because that lockdown was so good, it was a complete non-issue. The support obviously starts with that fit, but you also have a ton of other support features in place. You have a nice flat base. You sit within that midsole, and it really does help on lateral movements. And that medial side of the outsole is rounded a little bit. It does help with fluidity of those movements, especially when you're cutting really hard on the insides of your feet, if you're that kind of player. And then you will notice from these little cutouts here, you do have a little TPU shank. You also have a more substantial top-loaded midfoot shank. You can see it right here directly underneath that mesh strobel. In combination with this TPU sidewall, you put all that together, you've got a shoe that is flexible here in the forefoot, but then when you twist this baby up, it moves the way you want it to, and it doesn't move in the way that you don't want it to. You also have a nice internal heel counter, standard lacing setup. The cushion underneath your foot is fairly stable, so you're not gonna be sinking into it. You're not gonna be losing any reaction time. So, you got a stable base, an upper that fits extremely well. I mean, this shoe is the entire package. If anything, I'd say if you do have really wide feet, then maybe this isn't gonna be the best option for you. But overall, this is a really exceptionally well-rounded shoe. It's one of those shoes that really, positions 1 through 5, no matter who you are on the court, this has something for you. So I've really enjoyed my time in the All City 12. It's the type of shoe that, it's so well-rounded, it performs so well in every area that, it's gonna stay in my bag just in case the shoe that I happen to be wearing that night isn't performing up to standard. So, this is another really solid offering from Wade. And since they entered the US market a couple of years ago, they've been just cranking out hit after hit after hit. I haven't had a Wade model that I haven't enjoyed on court. My question for you is Wade becoming the best performance basketball shoe brand out there? To me, they're certainly the most consistent across all of their models. Probably their biggest competition is Nike, because Nike, when they hit, they hit. My 2 favorite basketball models from last year were both Nikes, but Nike also puts out plenty of duds. So drop a comment after you like and subscribe, of course. So drop a comment and let me know what you think the best performance basketball shoe brand out there is right now, because definitely Wade is putting people on notice. I wear these to the gym now and people recognize the brand. A year or 2 ago, that wouldn't have happened.
We're in a different era. Get over it.
They're definitely making huge strides in the basketball market, and you gotta give props where props is due. But anyways, that's about all I have for the performance review here on the Wade All City 12. Thank you so much for watching. There are plenty more performance reviews to come. On a personal note, I am fully back from my broken foot that occurred about a year ago. I know I put out some performance reviews at the end of last year, but I really needed to take some more time to really let my foot fully heal and to also gain some strength back. So I appreciate all the support I've received over the last year. It's nice to be back and playing basketball on a consistent basis. And yeah, I'm excited to bring y'all some more performance reviews. So again, thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.